We don't need them casting fake spells on us or whatever the heck. Getting their universal wands out and waving them in rage. Anyway.
We don't care what house you're in.
God.
Well, okay.
That was one of the worst things that came out of freaking Harry Potter.
Okay.
Welcome to Idiot Block, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Yanis. Joining me, as always, are my co-host Alex Overdahl.
I demand a De Niro spinoff.
And Justin Neitzel.
Now remember, Captain Shakespeare has a fearsome reputation.
If those quotes don't give it away, we're doing yet another installment of our movie pick series. Justin's going to finish off this round for us with his pick. Justin, what'd you have us watch this week?
The Matthew Vaughn directed Stardust.
Yep, we watched Stardust, the fantasy romance Princess Bride-ish film. It was a good pick, good time. Can't wait to talk about it. But first, we're going to start off like we always do with an opening segment. Since again, there's not really any big news, at least one that we can talk about for a little bit. We're going to do another installment of what we watched. Justin, why don't you kick us off? Other than Stardust, what have you watched this week?
I watched the 2011 Moneyball. It's about the Oakland A's general manager, Billy Beane, successfully creating a baseball team basically out of a bunch of misfit players. Now, I'll preface this by I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I was in. This kind of made me want to go watch baseball because it was quite interesting. And if there was a sport that you could typically pay for runs, I mean, this is kind of the sport to do it in. I know these guys are working with, or last I heard they were working with Cleveland Brown. I don't think it really works with football, but anyways, you got Jonah Hill playing this guy who's doing the numbers, calculating what players get on base the most, and that because they're trying to save money because they don't have a lot of money to pay their stars that just left. And you have Brad Pitt, who plays the general manager, and they're putting together this hodgepodge team that is the manager is played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, which I didn't realize how much I missed him until I was watching this, and I was like, damn, he's good.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's right, he's no longer with us. But I mean, this is one of Jonah Hill's first real dramatic roles, and I think he does a really good job. He's not quite up there yet that he later goes on to be, but it's a good first start. You have Chris Pratt in here. I think this is one of his first big movie roles. But yeah, it was an overall good time.
It also has a cameo from Activision Blizzard CEO and Goblin Billy Kotick.
I agree. I loved Moneyball. I really do not watch baseball at all, but I absolutely loved Moneyball when I saw it. It's a very factual approach to sports movies. It doesn't have the more emotional, sappy inspiration type moments. It's very by the books, by the numbers, which makes it very interesting, and the dialogue's great. I love the trade scene was one of my favorites where they're at the trade deadline, just the behind the scenes negotiating, and all the dialogue is so great.
Yeah, I know. One thing about this movie is it does all that really well. It's just I wish Draft Day would have done a better job of doing that.
Oh yeah.
Don't
even get me started.
Because I think that Draft Day, is actually a good movie, but it's just too over the top.
Yeah, it could have been really good, but then it gets into all of the stereotypical cheesy sports movie stuff, and tries too hard to be oh snap, when it could just be a really good straightforward draft maneuvering, because there's natural tension that comes with that.
Yeah, and expectations, especially I thought what they did really well in that movie was with the fans and fans' expectations and anger and outrage about what their GMs are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie was co-written by Aaron Sorkin, and it has that Aaron Sorkin stuff in it.
Oh, most definitely.
It has the realism, which I think is really important for a movie like this. It feels very authentic. Brad Pitt, of course, is amazing in it. I'm not in love with it like a lot of people are. I think it's very entertaining and very well done. I think for me, the reason why I don't necessarily like much some people do is that Billy Beane was his plan worked for other people, just not Billy Bean. They weren't actually successful. When you look at it, I mean, they were almost successful, and they were doing better than they would have had they not, done it the way that I did it.
I feel like the movie does cover that though, like that they don't make it all the way, and that he did.
Well, it even says like in the end where the Red Sox basically took his plan and actually won with it.
It does, but it's how it did it. I was kind of like, okay. The way I watched this movie then is kind of how I felt, and I haven't seen it since I first saw it, pretty shortly after it came out.
I also do find it interesting that Sorkin gets, like, everybody, talks about Sorkin with the screenplay, but most of it was Steven Zalian.
You could definitely tell because there's not a lot of walking and talking moments in this.
Right, like some of the dialogue, you could tell it's like he got in there, but like some of the other Sorkinisms aren't in there because I mean, Steven Zalian is Schindler's List and all kinds of other stuff, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He's done a lot of other stuff.
Ooh, he did that. That's a masterpiece.
Yeah, so he's a really good writer. But yeah, everybody, because like it's very dialogue heavy, everybody always thinks of Sorkin, and I'm sure he got credited, so he made a significant contribution. But
I was gonna say he probably went in there and kind of punched up some of the dialogue, and
but they made a good combo for sure.
I see this movie went through a few director changes. More than likely, Sorkin was brought in when the director changes to do a draft that the director wanted.
Yeah,
that's probably what happened. Zalian was brought in when it was with one director, and then Sorkin was brought in when Bennett Miller got involved.
Most likely.
It's a great movie, though. It did kind of bring us Draft Day. And Draft Day, I don't know, Justin, you said you liked it. I highly disagree with you.
Well, I like parts of it. There's a good movie in there, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, if they had done more like what they did with Brad Pitt's character, where it's like he's like, I can't be involved with the players because I gotta cut them, I gotta trade them. This
guy's like too involved with the players. It's like, oh, nobody showed up at his birthday party, so I'm not gonna draft him. Like, you can do better character concerned stuff better than that, more interesting than that. Than like, oh, nobody showed up at this guy's birthday party. He must be a loser. Like, come on. That
and just like the amount of picks that he traded away for the first overall pick. I'm like, that's a little steep. I wouldn't.
Yeah, honestly, like most of his moves are supposed to be like wizardry, but like honestly, he screws up a bunch of times and just gets bailed out by like an inexperienced.
Wait, are we still talking about Moneyball? What the heck are we talking about?
No, we're talking about
draft day.
Okay.
Yeah, like honestly, and like I bet they don't even show the season, and so like when they showed the season's about to start, I'm like, oh, I bet that team was actually a disaster, and he got fired like 2 years later.
Most likely.
Reitman did Draft Day.
Who did?
Ivan Reitman.
Wow, really?
Ghostbusters, Stripes.
What's he doing that? Also, there were weird directing choices in that one. Like the whole split screen thing was terrible. That's my end of rant on Draft Day.
Sad Ivan Reitman noises. He used to be so good. Anyway, good pick, Justin. Overall, how about you? What did you watch?
I watched this week the 1962, not the 2004 remake, film, The Manchurian Candidate, which it's a term that's used a lot, but I'd never seen the actual movie, and it's about a platoon of U.S. soldiers who, on a patrol, they get betrayed and captured by a group that's like a coalition of like communist nations, and they get brainwashed. So they're brainwashed to believe that one of them took out a whole squad and saved the whole unit, and that they lost 2 of them. And that guy who receives the Medal of Honor is brainwashed into basically becoming like their assassin. So like when they trigger the, in the movie, they ask him if he wants to play a game of solitaire, and then that triggers like the commands, like then they can command him to do what they want. And they're using him for assassinations and to advance a certain candidate further in office. This movie's scary. Like, this movie came out before the Kennedy assassination, a year before that, and all of the assassinations that happened in that era. So it's scary not just for that reason, but like the political themes of like the power and corruption and manipulation are very like modern and will always be relevant. It's got a lot of...
What's that Warren Beatty movie we both watched? I can't think of it.
Oh, Parallax View.
Yeah, Parallax View. It reminds me of Parallax View.
Yeah, it definitely does. And both are like incredibly tense. sense. But I would say this one's more character driven. That one's more like tension driven. Not that this doesn't have both, but like this is definitely more about the characters and the like political commentary. And the cast is great. Frank Sinatra is actually amazing in this. Also, I mean, like Angela Lansbury gives like what's considered like one of her best performances. She's scary in this. She plays the one who's like the assassin lackey, his like very manipulative mother who's trying to get her husband further in office, and like it's very interesting.
It sounds scary. I love political thrillers. Is it on anything?
Unfortunately not. I feel like it might because it's a Criterion's got it, so maybe they'll put it up at some point. But if it does go up somewhere, like absolutely watch it, because this is like one of the political thrillers. It's probably the most this and President's Men are probably like the most influential ones.
Have you seen the remake?
I have not. It's a completely different movie. Like I think the 2004 one is like I don't even know. Like it's like his memories start to return and like he fights back against it instead of it's not very similar actually. It's like a very 2000s movie to be honest. Like he had his memory wiped, but now his memories are coming back and he's gonna fight against it versus people going like there might be something wrong with this dude. We need to see what's up with him.
It sounds like a good movie. I've heard of it before. Honestly, I didn't realize till a year or two ago that the remake was actually a remake.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, because when you look it up, somehow that's like the first one that comes up. It's like, how? The 60s one is like super well regarded, so it's kind of surprising.
Have you seen the other one, or is it just this one?
Yeah, I've just seen this one.
Okay.
It's very.
Does this have a Criterion?
Yeah, which is why I'm hoping they put it on the channel or HBO or something. But yeah, it has a Criterion.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's not on anything.
Not even for pay. Can you at least pay to watch it?
Yeah, you can rent it.
Okay.
On Prime.
I meant more like streaming services.
Okay.
Right. Somebody get on it.
Please. That's the problem is a lot of those old movies aren't anywhere. Some like Boys in the Band, the original Friedkin version, aren't even like anywhere to rent.
Yeah, I've had that problem a few times too. I mean, I had to buy Judgment at Nuremberg to watch it.
Not even like old ones, but like I want to watch the In-Betweeners movie, which I get. Everyone should watch that show on. It's on Amazon Prime. It's amazing. But the movie is nowhere to find. Like nowhere to be found. The sequel you can find everywhere, but not the first one.
Ain't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah, I think people I think services or like other places definitely need to do a better job of like this movie's super well regarded. I'm sure lots of people would watch it. Where is it? Like somebody's got the rights to it.
Now, for my pick, we talk often on this podcast about how we have unpopular opinions, but I don't necessarily think that we always have unpopular opinions. I mean, there's the Disney stuff. There's enough people that have problems with Disney. I don't think it's that unpopular. But I'm about to change that right here, right now, with my thoughts on it's like a cultural phenomenon right now. But the Netflix comedy special Bo Burnham Inside. I want to preface this by saying that shut up. I want to preface this by saying that I really love Bo Burnham's comedy. I think he's really funny. I respect how open he is about his mental illness and how that's affected him. 8th Grade's a great movie. I'm really excited for him to be doing the music for the Sesame Street movie that is coming out either next year or the year after. In fact, I wish he was directing it. I wish he was doing more for that film. And Bo Burnham Inside, it's his most recent comedy special, and it was filmed over the course of the pandemic as Bo Burnham was stuck, like all of us, inside his apartment. And he's making like this one-man special. It's him doing the writing, the performing, the directing, the editing, the lighting. It's him doing everything. And for that, it's good. It's a beautiful special. The lighting is some of the greatest I've ever seen for one of these. It looks incredible, and the songs are really well done. The problem for me comes with the subject matter, and this I think is going to potentially piss off a bunch of people. I don't even know why I'm talking about this movie. I'm just gonna make people angry, but I think it's important to talk about what's popular, and this is very popular right now. But for me, I get he had a rough time in the pandemic. We all did. I'm not trying to disrespect that. But the actual jokes and content of the special to me are nothing new and nothing interesting. It's the same standard. The internet is weird. Capitalism has problems. Being alone sucks. It's the same stuff that we've heard a bunch of times over. It's just put into a catchy Bo Burnham song. It's not really that funny to me. I don't know if it's supposed to be that funny, but but it left me wanting more. Like, it looks beautiful, even though cinematography for most of the songs is just a wide shot that zooms into a close shot when the song hits the climax and then zooms back out. The lighting is phenomenal, though, and seeing Bo Burnham's performance is pretty amazing. Even though there's another problem I have with it is I get that it's very real feelings for him. I can see that, but a lot of the performance in this feels kind of disingenuous. It feels
like he doesn't want to do it.
It feels too forced. It feels too fake. It feels like he's trying to seem like he's losing his mind. And I want to think that he is. It's just me. I'm autistic. What do I know when it comes to reading people? But yeah, the songs just aren't that entertaining to me. Subject matter is because it's nothing new, and a lot of the songs in between the songs he does sketches where he does like fake Twitch streaming, fake reaction videos because it's 2016 and all that other stuff. That's like straight out of 8th grade. He did all of this stuff in the movie 8th Grade that he directed. It's the same exact writing style. It's the same writing style. It's the same content, same jokes. It's just retread old ground, and that to me was pretty frustrating watching because he's super talented. Mm-hmm. He's extremely talented, and seeing him cover the same ground, and maybe it would have helped if the special came out like 6 months ago when the pandemic was still kind of on everyone's minds, and now that it's over, I'm kind of sick of it and don't want to deal with anything related to it in the slightest.
So what you're saying is you probably would have enjoyed it more if it had come out sometime last year.
Possibly, but it wouldn't change the fact that I feel like the writing's unoriginal.
I mean.
Just the clips I've seen from it, it's like you said, the jokes are just being alone sucks, this or that, but like it's not even just that, like the jokes are just that. It's like he literally just says that, like being alone sucks, haha. Like okay,
but he says being alone sucks to a snappy piano tune. Like,
right.
Alone sucks. Like he's going on a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like that's not even a joke. That's just a statement. No, like, you're not even telling me a joke. You're just saying something. That's true.
And he does do great songs. I mean, some of the same songs. Love Is, Lower Your Expectations, the one country song he does. They're hilarious.
Oh yeah, I love all his parody songs. They're really good.
Those are a lot more allegorical, whereas the ones inside are a lot more, like you said, Alex, they're direct, and they're too direct. He does have there was one moment that was really good tense, which is the song All Eyes on Me. That's a really powerful moment. I would love to see him try to do this as a stage show. I think visually that could be really cool. But yeah, I want to end my statement, and we were doing this segment for a long time, so I want to get moving. But I want to end this by saying, if this special spoke to you and spoke to what you went through in the pandemic, I'm glad you found something that speaks to you and you feel emotion with. It didn't for me.
And direct all hate mail to David.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah, I haven't seen it either. Leave me out of it.
My wife loved it. She thought it was great. So it might just be me being cynical.
No.
And wanting this to be over.
You?
Oh yeah, I know, right? Big shocker.
I mean, from the sounds of it, I mean, it could go either way for me. So I mean,
it really could. Like I said, I get why it's popular. I get why people like it. It's speaking to people because it's talking and dealing with themes that I think we're all going through. I just wish it went deeper. But that's all I got. I don't want to dig my grave any deeper. So with that, we can move on to our main topic of today, which is Matthew Vaughn's movie Stardust that Justin had us watch. Justin, take it away. Why'd you have us watch this movie?
Well, I was kind of thinking, it's like, other than really, you could kind of say Star Wars and Harry Potter, it's like we haven't really had a lot of good fantasy movies in a while. And I remember coming across this, I think I found this after, like in 2015 after I had seen Kingsman, and I noticed it was Matthew Vaughn, so I was kind of interested because he does a lot of stuff I like. So I watched it, and I was just like, wow, this is a lot of fun. The comedy works pretty good. Robert De Niro is awesome in this movie, and Mark Strong.
So much fun.
Mark Strong's great, a partner of Matthew Vaughn's for quite a few films. So I was just like, I would love to talk some fantasy movies because this doesn't seem to be a lot of good ones anyways.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. When you picked this movie, I was kind of like, oh shit. shit, I really don't want to watch this because it
Yeah,
looks like,
I honestly wasn't sure.
it looks like a millennial Princess Bride. That was the vibes I got.
It kind of is.
I was like, oh god. But then my wife she loves Neil Gaiman, who wrote the book that this is based off of it and produced the movie. So of course she's seen this movie multiple times. And she was thrilled when I told her that I was watching it for this. She's like, oh, it's so good. And it's very Neil Gaiman. It's super Neil Gaiman. And then with the way it's structured and the way the dialogue kind of flows. But that said, I had a great freaking time. I didn't think it starts off really slow, but once it gets moving, like, holy shit, it's a lot of fun.
Once the main character basically passes the wall, it's like it becomes just constantly moving, action-packed, trickery afoot, betrayals. It's just like, it's got like everything in it.
I guess for context, we should say what the movie's about.
It's basically about a country boy from England who passes a wall that basically cuts off the fantastical world and the real world in search of a fallen star to get this girl he's been pining after to marry him. And then when he gets to the star, he learns that it's actually a person.
It's a really interesting concept that is executed pretty well, especially with how many moving parts this movie has, which is how Neil Gaiman does most of his fantasy stuff. Good Omens is structured the same way. You have basically groups of characters hunting other groups of characters, and they encounter each other and meet up in different points.
Yeah, you basically have Tristan and the star, forget her name. You have
played by Claire Danes.
You have
You
have the witches led by Michelle Pfeiffer, and then you got the brothers who are trying to find the stone that knocked the star, or the amulet that knocked the star out of the sky, so that they can become king. One of them can become king.
Because Peter O'Toole was like, "Hey, I got a gag for you. Go find this." I did not know Peter O'Toole was in this until like there's that old guy. I'm like, wow, that guy's really. Wait, that's Peter O'Toole. So I got very excited.
There's a lot of people in this movie. You got Henry Cavill.
There's a lot of random cameos. That was great.
You got. I remember when I first watched this. This was after I saw the Netflix Daredevil show, which you should watch. It's got Charlie Cox, and I was like, man, this guy looks familiar. And I'm like, but the voice just doesn't sound right. And I looked it up, like, oh, it's Daredevil.
And like, honestly, for me, like the start of this movie was like I was interested, but like it was very like like traditional fantasy. Like it was very like, oh, he's got the girl and he's gonna do whatever.
Not just that, how it opens that traditional fantasy of 500 years ago, a great kingdom.
Yeah, you got Ian McKellen narrating.
Right, and like it was well made, and it was pretty fun. But like that's part of the point, because like once it gets into the meat of it, it's kind of like making commentary on that. Like that part of the point is that like you've got this whole setup, but like he's going on this quest for her because it's the only way she'll like him. But that's like, why should he have to do that? It like points out those things in a really like fun and heartfelt way. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have to do that because she should just like you. And it's very interesting. And there are a few other things like fairy tale type stuff it goes at while also still being effective as one.
It's like a revisionist fairy tale in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's got like the, excitement, romance type angles that you would get in one of those, but it's also revisionist in that it takes a look at those things. And of course, De Niro's character is another example.
I've never seen Robert De Niro have so much fun making movies. He's clearly having a blast.
Oh yeah, he's definitely having fun. Especially after he throws out the mannequin, he's just like, and you're like, whoa, did our character just die? Like, how's he gonna get back? And then all of a sudden he's like walking through the ship, and all of a sudden he's at the other end. They're like, what the hell just happened?
Could you call his performance dated? Possibly.
I
don't think it was too. It wasn't too over the top, so I couldn't say that.
And it wasn't the butt of the joke. I think that's the important thing.
No, yeah, like the butt of the joke was like everything else going around him.
Right, like the contrast and how he has to put up like the fake macho thing, like that. That's where the joke came in.
Yeah.
He was so good.
He's so him and Michelle Pfeiffer were having so much fun in this movie.
Yeah.
So was
Michelle Pfeiffer
Mark
loved
Strong.
being the villain. You can tell that she just loved being the villain and getting to do evil Disney shit.
Yeah.
She's a good villain.
Yeah, she was really effective. I don't think I've seen her in like a pure villain role before, but she's really good.
I think she plays a villain in that second Maleficent movie, but I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah. Watch this instead. This does feel a lot of ways like the things like Disney kind of wishes they were doing with those other things, or maybe they don't even want to be doing it, but like, you know, it feels like maybe the stuff they should be doing.
If this made money, they would be doing it. And it made a profit, but not enough to be considered probably successful.
Yeah. Although if it had the Disney label, it probably would be.
What? And you have to remember, too, this movie came out when every fantasy movie was absolute ass. I mean, this was 2007. Yeah. This was around the time where we got Aragon, Inkheart, just horrible adaptations.
The Golden Compass.
Like, we were on, like, what, the third Lion Witch in the Wardrobe one? We really bungled that one, too.
I think in 7 we just had the first one.
Okay, I can't remember how many out were then. Because, like, the first one was actually a pretty good movie, but then they really bungled it.
But we also have what came out the same year in the Golden Compass, and they basically look kind of the same.
Yeah.
Except one got attacked by like every media source, and one the other didn't know. No one knew it existed.
Well, they say any news is good news.
Now for Golden Compass, it was not good news for that movie. That's one I don't even know why they actually made. I have no idea why. Yeah. I don't know what they expected to happen.
Well, and it was like, you know, oh, how could this get any worse? Daniel Craig. Nonsense. Like,
what did Daniel Craig do?
I don't know. He like doubled down on all of the stuff. I mean,
that's right.
Wrong, probably, but he did not help.
Well, their mistake was when the HBO didn't do, because for people that don't know, we can, I guess we can not be so cryptic on this one, but Golden Compass is a very atheist piece of work. It was basically designed as an anti-Chronicles of Narnia, and they made the movie, and then word got out that it's very atheist, but it was a kids movie, so a lot of people got very upset.
Oh, is that why?
And I think most people, because it's about...
Yeah, doesn't God die or something?
Yeah, it's a very... Yeah, basically. To say it's about killing God is almost too blunt.
Right. The whole circus around it made it about. I mean, although it's definitely a very atheist piece, but, you know.
But honestly, the drama around those kind of movies hurt films like Stardust. The fact that they were either controversial or trash.
Yeah.
Basically meant Stardust had no chance, even though it's really good.
Because everything had that label of Lord of the Rings knockoff, right? Like that's where this craze came from, and like everybody just went all in on them. And some of them worked, a lot of them didn't, and then just the whole fantasy craze died until Game of Thrones.
If Stardust was marketed as a Princess Bride type film and not a Lord of the Rings type film, it would have been much more successful.
Well, most definitely.
And also more accurate, because it's much more in the vein of Princess Bride.
Yeah, because it's about basically a guy trying to save the love of his life or whatever, versus let's get this ring to the mountain and boil it.
Well, and you have the quirky characters that they encounter along the way. You have like the swashbuckling adventure, not necessarily the medieval war. Although Matthew Vaughn's direction in this movie is extremely creative with how he does that. The climax is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love the voodoo sword fight. So good.
We just got basically Mark Strong just walking around with his eyes closed, swinging the sword like, do this.
Yeah, and then you've got, it's always got like the fun at heart as well as the tension, because then you have Mark Strong's ghost watching. Like you've got the ghost audience, which I loved every time they pulled in the dead brother ghosts.
Oh yeah, they were a lot of fun.
Just sit there watching stuff happen.
I also
like, don't do it.
I also love that they looked like what they did when they died. Basically,
yeah.
Mark Strong's all wet because he basically drowned to death. Another guy,
one guy got his throat cut.
Other one got pushed off a ledge, so he's shown smushed.
and they're all like, "What do now?"
What's fun about the ending after watching it a second time, if you watch like all their spirits kind of turn in those like ghost balls, and all of a sudden several of them go up, but then you see one go down, which was Mark Strong's character.
I didn't see that. That's great. That's really funny.
Because Mark Strong's like the one who's out trying to kill everyone. Like he pushes the other brother off the thing. He basically poisoned the other one. He's like, you thought you were gonna be king. You poisoned our thing. Well, you were supposed to die too, but the priest took your cup.
And you can kind of start to see Matthew Vaughn's evolution as a director in this one too. You can start to see him get his style, which I really like. He's a great director, minus Kingsman 2.
Yeah, I love how practical this movie is too. I mean, the makeup and everything was great. Set designs.
Yeah,
I'm shocked that this really hasn't found a second audience yet.
Like, I'm kind of surprised, like, in like the best way possible, because I really, really like this movie. It's great. I'm surprised this isn't Twitter's favorite movie. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm surprised, like, Twitter or Letterbox or somebody, this isn't like their favorite movie. The way that the other kind of like similar style films are in terms of like the spirit of it, I'm surprised it hasn't.
Because no one knows it exists.
Yeah, that's the biggest part of the problem, and I don't know why they don't know it exists. But
well, I know it was early. I think this was Matthew Vaughn's second movie, because he did Layer Cakes and then this, I believe. Yeah.
And then was it Kingsman after this? No, not Kingsman.
Kick-Ass.
No, Kick-Ass, yeah. Which that one pretty big.
It's still it wasn't as big as it could have been.
Right.
But then he made X-Men, which is also bizarre because X-Men First Class is like one of like the lowest grossing X-Men movies.
It's funny because it's probably one of my favorite ones.
I don't know if it's the best one, but I think it might have the best story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the ones that enters the conversation like X-Men 2 Stands Unite. I mean, obviously Logan, I almost don't even count Logan because it's its own thing, but to me that would certainly be the best. But yeah, like First Class was extremely well done.
First Class's biggest issue is the fact that the visual effects look terrible. And they looked bad even when they came out.
And Mystique's makeup looks bad.
Yeah, the makeup looks bad. Beasts, whatever the hell. Looks.
I forgot about that.
He does not look good.
Like, how does X-Men 3's Beast look better than this?
And some of Matthew Vaughn's casting choices in that too, like Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Stan and January Jones as Emma Frost. I mean, you have one of the biggest characters in all of X-Men lore, which is Emma Frost, and you cast an actress so terrible that character is basically removed from the franchise.
Yeah, that character is basically like a meme. Like at the time, like yeah.
But I mean, he's a great director. I'm glad he wasn't on the sequel for First Class because his Days of Future Past sounded really stupid because he was going to recast Wolverine.
Oh boy,
that's probably why he got fired.
Well, he said for creative differences. That's the creative difference.
Yeah.
So hear me
get
out.
The hell out of here.
Hear me out. We're getting rid of Hugh Jackman. Get out.
I mean, recasting Hugh Jackman is like a sin, but he was going to do it, and that's why he left. And then he went and did Kingsman, which was honestly a pretty good decision on his part, because now he's basically in charge of a whole universe of movies.
Which hopefully is somewhat good. I mean, the second one's shit, but the prequel one looks pretty good.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it seems interesting.
If it ever actually comes out, I'll go see it.
Honestly, I'd forgotten that it hadn't come out yet because of all the delays.
I'm kind of shocked that Disney didn't move it to Hulu.
Maybe they think they have a big hit on their hands.
They might think it's good. I mean, it's coming out around Christmas, which means they might think it's actually really good.
Yeah, that's a kind of a tentpole spot a little bit, and they do kind of need the like Disney and everybody are kind of shifting some stuff to streaming, but I think they do want those tentpole ones, those big budget ones in theaters because they need that push.
Yeah. And theaters are reopening. F9 comes out tomorrow as of this recording.
Damn.
Got my tickets already. but
don't need a ticket to see family. There
Corona.
you go. Feel free to use that. Vin Diesel.
Yeah, don't need to pay a ticket for Corona or family.
We have Dolby Cinema. We're going to see it in Dolby Cinema. So every time Vin Diesel says family, the seats are going to rumble.
Up, he said it.
I'm excited. I'm excited. But getting back to what we're talking about, yeah, Matthew Vaughn's great. Kingsman's great. Good director. I kind of wish he wouldn't do as much Kingsman so we could do, other stuff. But
do more stuff like Stardust.
I like Kingsman, but as far as like his good ones, so not Kingsman 2, I think it's like his weakest stuff, his good ones, even though I enjoyed it, if that makes sense. Like, to me, stuff like this, First Class, Kick-Ass are like significantly better.
Stardust is like the least Matthew Vaughn movie, and I like it because of that.
I'd like to see him get away from that kind of comic book movie and kind of do something more original, kind of like this.
Well, yeah. Every movie has to have some sort of choreographed fight scene set to music with like long takes and stuff.
This just had the can.
Yeah, which was great.
Especially right after Mark Shaw goes, now remember, Captain Shakespeare is a formidable opponent, and all of a sudden he's just in ladies' underwear doing the can.
If I have to say, if I'm shocked by anything about this movie, it's the fact that, Alex, you like it so much. I was not expecting that. Well,
yeah, I know. I'm like, am I turning sappy? Like, what's going on here? But, like, I loved this movie.
Because normally, if you look at our Letterbox scores, which you can follow us, links in the description. Shameless plug. If you follow us and you go to the movies that we've all seen and have all scored, 8 times out of 10, Justin will be the highest, I'll be in the middle, and Alex will be the lowest.
Pretty much.
Like, depending on the type of movie. If it's something really dark, then my score will be the highest. If it's ones like this, mine will definitely usually be the lowest.
Yeah, well,
that's definitely what I expected.
But now I'm like, did I like this the most?
Yeah, but Justin, like your score is currently at 3.5, which I didn't expect. I thought you would have done higher.
I actually bumped it up last night after I watched it to a 4 because I was like I said, I watched this 2015 or so. So it's like it's been a couple of years since I've actually watched it. And it was a nice update because it was like this was actually a lot more fun than I quite kind of remember.
It was really good.
Super refreshing, like because just the way it handles the various normal pieces while still being very fun and doing like something different with the classic fantasy pieces. So like I was just having an absolute blast.
I was worried because it looked to me like your standard mid 2000s fantasy movie, and it was like almost like making fun of them and trying to do something original that it itself knew was original. I thought like I was very impressed by it. I was actually quite shocked.
I definitely was expecting you guys to be like message me like when you first started the movie, be like, what the hell are you having me watch?
Well, see,
did you just do it to me?
I've watched your taste change in like the 6 years I've known you. I've watched like your taste like evolve and change. If this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I'd been like, when the hell did you ever watch this? But now
I was kind of that. I was still surprised, but not as much as I would have been for sure.
Well, if it didn't have Matthew Vaughn's name attached to it, I would have been more shocked. It didn't shock me that I actually watched a random Matthew Vaughn movie.
Yeah, it's basically how I came across it. I was flipping through, I believe it was on Amazon Prime at the time, and it said Matthew Vaughn, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing much. I remember seeing somewhat trailers on TV, and I was like, it's Matthew Vaughn, I'm going to give it a shot.
And it's good.
Yeah, I like this movie. I like this movie so much that I don't know if she had the wrong movie, but I was talking. I fought with my mom about this movie.
Why?
Because apparently she has either seen it or thinks she's seen it. And she's like, that movie was kind of lame. I was like, how dare you? This movie is a treasure.
Well, I just love the characters. It works on so many. Yeah, the characters are great. It works on so many levels with like the humor, with the ghost people, Robert De Niro cutting Charlie Cox's hair, and also it's like freaking long. Just like little subtle things like that just kind of made it fun.
That to me is like the Neil Gaiman touch that they were able to preserve. And honestly, that's what impressed me the most is that in adapting it without Neil Gaiman's involvement, they made it seem very much his style. And Neil Gaiman's like, he's super prolific. One of the biggest writers ever, basically. American Gods, Sandman. I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but I love Marvel 1602, where he took the Marvel Universe and moved it to like 1602 London, England. That was fantastic. I love the Good Omens miniseries. That's great. This is very much his style. I commend them for preserving it and still having it make sense as a film, because a lot of Neil Gaiman stuff is like super like loose and kind of abstract. So the fact
Yeah, I mean that's why
sense.
that kind of tanked American Gods a little bit.
Yeah, Brian Fuller kind of tanked American Gods.
That too. He's known for that.
Brian Fuller, not to go on an off tangent, but Brian Fuller is like the most fascinating TV writer producer ever. Because
He's good until he loses his mind.
Because in the same season, in the same TV development season, he'll make Hannibal, which is one of the greatest TV shows ever made, and then he'll do Mockingbird Lane. He'll do a Hannibal-esque version of the Munsters in the same season as Hannibal.
Well, I'm going to whole-ass this one thing, and I'm going to half-ass the other two.
No, I ain't gonna no-ass this one.
Quarter-ass it.
Well, and Brian Fuller's a lot like Guillermo del Toro in that I think he's more known at this point for the stuff that didn't get made than the stuff that has gotten made.
Or being attached for like one episode.
He'll show up like Star Trek Discovery. He'll show up, he'll do basic development, and then leave. American Gods, he did for a season and then left. Not necessarily because he was like forced or wanted to, because he basically rage quit both shows. And most of the stuff isn't that popular to begin with, just with critics.
Then of course the one he made that was consistent throughout is the one that got canceled.
And Pushing Daisies were both like really well loved by the 8 people that watched them. And
there are dozens of us. Dozens. It's like Stardust. There are dozens of us.
I mean, he was the best person to adapt American Gods. He went full Brian Fuller. Much like Matthew Vaughn went full Matthew Vaughn, but fortunately, full Matthew Vaughn's good. And what's weird too is like what this movie helps, I think, proves that Matthew Vaughn is much better at adaptations than he is original stories.
Yeah.
Because Stardust adaptation, great. Is Layer Cake an adaptation?
I believe so.
Yeah, it is. It's an adaptation. So Layer Cake, I haven't seen it, but it's really well received. So well received. X-Men adaptation, well received. Kingsman adaptation. Kick-Ass adaptation well received. Kingsman 2 original story.
Not good. I think that's what a lot of directors though too is just sometimes they gotta you can help with the script but don't be like the main force of it.
Yeah, he really shouldn't have written Kingsman 2. Kingsman 2 I don't know how much Kingsman 2 is actually his fault, only because Fox really wanted the Kingsman cinematic universe, and so they set up a bunch of different stuff that maybe they shouldn't have.
They tried to set up too much.
Some of those studio ones with so many people involved, it gets hard to know like who's at fault because there are so many cooks in the kitchen. Too many cooks.
But you're right though. The studio ones, especially with Kingsman. I mean, Kingsman 1 was a surprise smash. I mean that movie. It's enough removed now that people have forgotten just how big that movie was when it came out. I mean, that film and Logo movie basically made February a hot month for box office.
Do you remember what movie it went up against?
Was it 50 Shades or SpongeBob?
50 Shades.
It was 50 Shades.
Because I remember talking to a bunch of buddies who were like, oh, let's go to this. Like, no, my girlfriend dragging me to this. I'm like, well, I'm going to go have fun.
I saw SpongeBob that weekend. Yeah, I can just imagine you being so righteous alone on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
All of you people.
Although Kingsman made it better. It was really fun because I saw it with a bunch of old people and they're like, what is going on?
I saw SpongeBob that night with a bunch of children. And honestly, I think you were at... No, you weren't at Oshkosh yet, so you wouldn't have been in the same theater as me.
Nope, not yet.
I think that was the year before.
Yeah, it was the next year I was there.
Yeah, I ended up seeing it. I think I saw it on like DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I don't think I saw it in theaters. No. Kingsman.
One thing
Come on now. We know you've seen 50 Shades, Alex. You can be like, we're all friends here.
Sure.
One thing I do love that Matthew Vaughn does is he finds like pretty much unknowns to be his leads and then fills out the cast around him with bigger names.
He does do that, doesn't he?
I mean, they basically did it with Kingsman, with this movie, Kick-Ass.
Was he ever attached to Kick-Ass too?
I honestly don't think so. I would certainly hope not, because then he would have to be piled into my ginormous fiery rage over Kick-Ass 2 that I'm going to try not not to activate right now.
Well, I'm gonna help. By help, I mean not help. And basically say I don't understand why you're that. No, wait, never mind. I just remember what happened to Kick-Ass 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you really want to go there?
That's right. Kick-Ass 2 has that scene. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Yeah. Besides the fact that the movie sucks, it's terrible. It's nonsense. It's absurd. But it also has one of the most disgusting scenes probably ever put into a movie.
Which I've read the comic. It's way worse than the comic.
Yeah, that's honestly the worst part is that it's even worse in the comic because he's a lunatic.
Mark Millar is a bad.
Mark Millar is, yeah,
great comic book writer. He's written some of my all-time favorites: Superman, Red Son, Marvel Civil War, Old Man Logan, which became Logan, even though his version is completely different. But Kick-Ass 2 is I'm not quite sure what he was thinking there.
I don't want to know.
Which the Kingsman movie is better than the Kingsman book.
Yeah.
Which like the Kick-Ass movie is better than the Kick-Ass book.
Yeah, well, it's like it's funny because 2 is like goes more in on that stuff, but like the Kick-Ass movie is more restrained. Like the Kick-Ass movie has like that, like it still has all the stuff that makes it good, but like it dials back some of his insane stuff.
And Nick Cage makes the character of Big Daddy work.
Oh yeah, Nick Cage's Batman with guns. It's great.
The chemistry of Nick Cage and Chloe Grace Moretz is amazing.
Gonna be fine, baby doll.
Yeah, honestly, they make that movie. Like, not that, the Kick-Ass character himself is decent, but those two make that movie for sure.
Even though, again, I do kind of question Matthew Vaughn's casting of Aaron Johnson as the lead of Kick-Ass.
I feel like he was good in that role and has been good in, like, literally nothing else ever.
I mean, just him as the character. Dave Lazuski's supposed to, like, look like me, lanky and skinny and nerdy, and Aaron Johnson's ripped. He's jacked to hell. Much like Taron Egerton, who I think is probably the best casting that Matthew Vaughn's done, is casting Taron Egerton in Kick-Ass. But even him, and like Eddie the Eagle, when he's supposed to be like this injured, like he's supposed to have like what, MS? And he's jacked. Like you can't.
Puffy jackets can only
Taron
cover
Egerton
so much.
Isn't just, super athletic and stuff.
See, that's the representation we need in Hollywood. Some more. I'm not gonna go there.
Skinny white dudes, yeah. but Matthew Vaughn's great. I mean, we kind of got off topic on Stardust because really, for me, there's not much to say other than it's really good and you should watch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the plot because there's some really good, cool stuff that happens that I kind of don't want to spoil people.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprises, and I'm also glad it just never fell into like the usual like generic trappings or like, oh, we're gonna force drama or we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like it avoided a lot of the trappings and did it was always doing something interesting.
Well, like David compared it earlier to The Princess Bride. This is kind of like the opposite, where it doesn't follow that basic everybody knows this tale old as time kind of thing and goes a different way.
Yeah,
it kind of spits in the face of those
fighting
movies.
is fun.
It does, but it also kind of pays homage to them as well.
So I have a list here of 2000s fantasy movies.
Oh boy. You're gonna bring back like some trauma here. Like I'm gonna like have some Nam flashbacks.
Well, Stardust is one of the best 2000s fantasy films I've seen. Most of them are the same movie, really. And Stardust, I think, had the balls to go full Neil Gaiman, to do a bunch of stuff that most people would consider to be a serious risk, and then pull it off. I loved it.
Yeah. Great
movie. But not all of them go that way. Let's start out with Harry Potter, but we're not going to talk about Harry Potter because that's a whole big animal. That
we don't need the Potter people mad at us this week too.
No.
You've already made the Bo Burnham people mad. We don't need the Harry Potter people too.
No, we don't need them casting fake spells on us or whatever the heck. Getting their universal wands out and waving them in rage. Anyway.
We don't care what house you're in.
God.
Well, okay.
That was one of the worst things that came out of freaking Harry Potter.
Okay.
Anyways, the list.
Okay, so they have Coraline, which is great. There's a documentary coming out about the founding of Laika that really doesn't paint it in a positive light. But so their movies can leave a bad taste in my mouth. But I'm gonna leave that for another time. Where the Wild Things Are, which. I hate that movie. People love it. I hated it.
I thought it looked dumb. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it because everyone talked about how amazing it was, and it's shit.
It looked like shit.
It's boring. It's depressing. It's lame. I hate it.
I remember the trailers and the visual tone was just so dark and dreary. I'm like, why is this like a kids marketing movie?
Bleak as hell. It's not a kids movie. It is not a kids movie. It's way too bleak to be a kids movie.
But they were marketing it as one.
This next movie is probably the quintessential mid-2000s family fantasy movie. Bridge to Terabithia.
That's a dark movie too.
Fun fact: it's directed by the guy who created Rugrats, and he never directed another movie after this.
You know what's funny about that movie is they marketed it as like a fantasy movie, but when
it's not,
the fantasy stuff is barely in it.
Bridge to Terabithia has one of the most. Why was this not on our movies that fool us episode? Because it's one of the most misleading marketing campaigns of any movie ever made.
That is true. How did we not come up with this one?
Like the ads, they're not teases. They're just flat out fucking lies.
Mm-hmm. Like every scene in the trailer of the fantasy world, that's essentially all that there is in the movie.
Yeah, it's like one scene. It's on the poster. It's on the poster. Fantasy stuff. It's not what the movie's about. And spoiler alert for like a 13-year-old movie. The girl dies, and if you took your kids to see it, you probably had to take them crying out of the movie because people couldn't freaking handle it because Disney's an idiot.
Funny, that's also a 2007 movie.
Yeah, what's with 2007?
2007 was the year of fantasy.
Yeah, when they finally got all the Lord, because they take forever to film. So when all of the Lord of the Rings knockoffs finally came out of the pipeline, was like Return of the King was 2003. Give it 4 years.
2006 brought us Aragon, which is often regarded as one of the movies that we talk about.
Boring movie with dragons.
I never read the book. This was the era like everybody in elementary school was like obsessed with this book, and then the movie came out and everybody hated it.
And nobody was obsessed with Aragon anymore.
No, it completely died.
My wife loves Aragon.
One of my buddies was a big fan of the books. He's like, "Oh yeah, you guys see this?" And then we went and saw it, and it's like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna read the books."
That's what this is the 2000s fantasy series too. That's what happened to me. So I was like in first or second grade. A coworker of my mom bought me as a gift the first volume of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. I was like 6. I was like 6 or 7 when I got this book. And I had no interest in reading it. It looked dark and depressing as hell. But around this time, the movie came out. And so like, okay. And me and my dad rented it once. And I was like, Jim, show him this movie. Get him into this so he'll read that book. That was a gift. It was a gift. Make him read it. So that's like, okay. So we watched this. We watched the movie, and my mom comes home and was like, so David, you're gonna read the book now? And both me and my dad shook our heads like, no. And my mom's like, wait, what do you mean? And my dad's like, I don't know what the hell that was, but it was not a kid's movie. See, that was messed up. That was weird. I hated it. My dad hated it even more than I did. But my dad, I think, was pissed at my mom because I was like traumatized watching that movie. I haven't watched the Netflix show. It's supposed to be good, but that movie is terrible.
Yeah, everybody hates that movie. I only saw like half of it at that time, and I was like, I'm not watching the rest of this movie.
I mean, the only thing I ever heard anything good about it was Jim Carrey, but they're like, Jim Carrey's not really playing the character.
So, yeah, he basically just played evil Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Then you have 2003.
Just
this
like
is a film that got forgotten. That's 2003 Peter Pan.
Oh, I know this movie. This movie sucks.
It was critically well received.
Movie is freaking boring.
Hey, Jason Isaacs is Captain Hook.
I don't even know this movie.
Be thankful.
I never saw this movie. I saw Hook. I never saw this movie.
But Jason Isaacs as Captain Hook, I will watch.
I was surprised because Kid Me would have been in on that.
I mean, to be fair, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember not liking it at all.
It has decent reviews, and I guess that's the next one. I guess this one counts as fantasy, even though it's really not. But I like talking about this movie, and that's 2009's 9.
Oh, wow.
The animated dystopian one with the Sackboy looking people, which has one of the greatest movie trailers ever. Holy shit! If you've not seen the trailer for 9, watch it and then don't watch the movie. Because the movie is not worth it. But the trailer is amazing. And I'm pretty sure the short it was based off of might have won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. And they made it into a movie. And nobody...
And it won the Academy Award for Best Trailer for a shit movie.
Yeah, basically.
Don't you love that?
Just title later won by Godzilla.
You get these great trailers and you go to the movie and you're like, oh, depressing.
Yeah, there's gotta be some more fantasy ones because I know there's some weird shit that I've seen.
Honestly, I think a lot of them are so forgotten and so deep down there.
People forget how big it was. More was Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe. That first movie made a shit ton of money.
Oh, it was huge.
Made a killing, and then they absolutely screwed up all of the how long they took to make the second one, the marketing for it. They screwed up everything for 2, but it still kind of made a profit. So then they did a 3, which most people forget they did. I try and forget I've seen it. I barely remember what happened because it was terrible. I saw all 3 of them.
The only thing I remember from 3 is it had I forget who it had in there.
I remember they were on a boat.
Yeah, but this was this was the first movie I saw. Will something, the guy from
and I gotta look this up.
Meet the Millers.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
he was in that.
Yeah, that was the first movie I saw him in, and he was annoying. Yeah, Will Poulter.
Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Yep, that's the boat one.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the first one in theaters.
Still kind of made money.
Yeah, they're really successful. So the Chronicles of Narnia.
Honestly, the next one, I've actually read the book that's next in line. That book is literally impossible to adapt. There's no way.
The Chronicles of Narnia is interesting because it's the only good post Lord of the Rings ripoff series. It's the only one that actually was decent and successful.
Yeah.
Because I saw the first one in theaters. It was the first time I saw a movie that long in the theater, and I really liked it. And my parents tried to get me to read the books, but I hated reading so much that I just kind of said no. I'll just watch the movies, and then didn't watch any of the follow-up movies.
And then they stopped making those movies.
Yeah, I mean the first one, the second one's okay. The third one's terrible. The first one is a very good movie actually.
It's great. That climax is awesome.
That was sick. And Liam Neeson as the lion,
Lion Jesus.
Good cast. Yeah, Lion Jesus. And I mean the battle stuff was actually sick. They did a good job with all of that stuff.
I think my only complaint with the first one was it just seemed a little long.
It's very long.
The pacing's not very good.
Because it's 2 movies combined into one because Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe I think is the second book in the series. Mm-hmm. So they had to put all of the exposition from the first book with the actual plot.
Oh, okay.
It's probably for the best because the first book is literally just exposition.
Yeah.
It's all right, thanks. Now we're in the story.
I just remember the first movie I was intrigued with the first half hour, and then next hour or so it was okay, can we get going? But then once Aslan shows up and they're at camp, it's okay, this movie is actually pretty good.
Here's what popped up that is giving me non-flashbacks. So this really relevancy. The Spiderwick Chronicles from 2008.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, fuck this movie. I was forced to watch it. I wasn't forced to. My mom wanted to go see movies with me to spend time together. So we went and saw Spiderwick at the cheap movie theater. And God, this movie sucked.
It's really stupid. I was seeing the photos, the little green guy with the nose. He's just, this looks stupid.
It has a really big cast. You have Freddie Highmore in dual roles.
Oh, that's why it looks like that. It's Nick Nolte.
Daniel Nolte, David Strathairn, Seth Rogen. My wife Helena. Now that our junk room's kind of a mess, that's where I'm recording my stuff right now. Right next to me in the pile of books is a Spiderwick Chronicle book. It's Arthur Spiderwick's Field Guide. So she at one point must have been really into the series, which somehow that movie adapts like 5 books into one movie. But yeah, I don't like it.
See, they made this. See, they were trying to make the smart choice. Was like, let's just combine them all and see if this does anything.
People are going to watch. Oh, go ahead.
Because otherwise we won't make our money, or people won't like it, but we'll make money off of it because of the name.
People are going to want us to talk about Pan's Labyrinth. I don't think any of us have actually seen Pan's Labyrinth.
Nope. Sorry.
So sorry, nerds. We don't do that foreign stuff. I should really watch that movie. I don't know why I have, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to. I think I want to at some point.
There's Ella Enchanted.
Ella Enchanted.
It's the Anne Hathaway one.
Have I seen this movie?
There's Ella Enchanted, which is the Anne Hathaway one, and then there is Enchanted, which is the Amy Adams one.
That one, I'm pretty sure. There's a chance I've seen both of them. This was like, I have a sister. That's how I've seen them. Who is older than me? Oh my god, I might have seen this movie.
Flashbacks.
There's Hellboy.
Yeah, I am getting the flashbacks. I've either seen this or I've seen something like it, which there are multiple 2000s candidates for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hellboy 2 kind of fantasy because Hellboy 2 slaps.
I mean, I think that's more comic book.
Shush. Funny.
We'll count it.
Also 2007, Beowulf.
Ooh.
Ugh. Honestly, this movie Beowulf creates very divisive opinions because there's like this weird circle of people who like it now, and I don't know why.
I've seen it. I don't know why, but I've seen it. The animation hurts my eyes.
I came across it on some channel and I couldn't watch it. I'm like, this looks awful. I turned it off.
And like, yeah, I don't like, I've made it very clear. I'm not like source material purist. Like, great changes are made all the time. Like, I hate the changes to the story they make for that movie. Like, it kind of kills it.
If you want a good change of Beowulf, read Ears of the Dead by Michael Crichton. Do not watch the movie version of it, but the book is amazing. But this is not amazing. This is bad. This is very, very bad. Even though it has a huge cast.
Yeah, well, and I think that was part of the thing. Like, the fact that they got Angelina Jolie to be in it made them completely change that character, and that kind of wrecked the story.
But also it has Ray Winstone, Anthony Hopkins, Robin Wright, Brendan Gleeson, John Malkovich.
Directed by
Crispin Glover counts as famous, Crispin Glover.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis.
But this was Zemeckis
when he was going through that weird.
This is scary animation, Zemeckis.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. There was this weird phase.
He's very good when he wants to be.
Because I think Disney like owned his studio, and I think they eventually were like, yeah, no, you're done. We're not doing this anymore. After Mars Needs Moms was like one of the biggest bombs of all time. Like, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't after the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol movie?
No, it was after Mars Needs Moms. Because Mars Needs Moms flop is one of like the biggest animation flops of all time. And Disney was like, yeah, we've given you enough chances here. Because he was working on an adaptation of Yellow Submarine, which there's some concept art of, and it looks terrifying. I don't think it's supposed to look terrifying.
He's directing a live-action adaptation of Disney's Pinocchio?
Yeah, so we're going to get some more scary mocap.
Uh-oh.
Tom Hanks is Geppetto.
You had a random, like, early 2010s phase of, like, making normal movies again, and then it was like, all right, let's get weird with it again.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is freaking Jiminy Cricket.
I actually like his Christmas Carol, though.
It's not bad. We talked about We talked about Narnia. Stardust has shown up quite a bit because Stardust is great. Inkheart was one that I know broke a bunch of hearts of people that read fantasy. Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief, those movies destroyed the fan base.
Yeah, that's another one that like any like hype behind it was completely killed by the movie.
Yeah, I actually read the books after the first movie, and the books are way better.
I haven't read the book or seen the movie. I can probably predict that the books are probably way better.
But I mean, the movie wasn't good, but I always liked Greek mythology, so I checked out the books to see how it was.
Chris Columbus directed that? Dude, what happened to him? He used to be good. There was one. I forgot it. I had a good after Percy Jackson. People love Percy Jackson. Oh yeah. Do you know what series I'm surprised wasn't made into a movie series? Do you guys remember this was a series like every guy in middle school around the time that we were in middle school and high school, every guy was obsessed with. And that's do you remember the Ranger's Apprentice series?
Whoa.
Sounds familiar.
Whoa. I haven't thought about this. Whoa. I haven't thought about this in probably 10 years, 15 years, whatever, like a long time. I read these.
What was it called? Rangers?
I don't even read stuff. I've read this. I don't remember anything about it, but I've
Ranger's
read this.
Apprentice.
I've read this.
Huge.
Oh my gosh. You're giving, this is like the hardest, I'm legit shocked right now. I'm having the most physical flashback I've ever had right now because this had been buried deep in the recesses. I've read most of these. I've read these books.
I read a few of them. I think I only read the first 3 or 4 because I didn't like reading.
I didn't either. That's why I'm shocked. I've read I read most, if not all of these. Well, not all of them because I had stopped well before they stopped the series.
This must be after.
Oh yeah, 2012. There was no way I was reading this.
This must be after my time because I don't remember any of these.
I mean, it was 2004 when it started coming out, but they got a huge run the time. Me and Alex would have been in high school.
Yeah, probably 2006, 7-ish is probably when I would have stopped. Oh my gosh. Literally the only reason I would have read this is because I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings and Aragorn was my favorite character and he's a ranger, so I would have been ooh, ranger, and then read all these books.
Be a ranger!
They call him Strider. Yeah, so.
Who has not seen the Ranger School promo YouTube video? Because I just quoted it and nobody's responding.
No, I know.
Well, I'm sending that after the podcast.
I'm still shook here.
Apparently, they're trying to make a movie based off of the series, and they're going to make it into a TV series that got delayed because of COVID-19.
Hit me up, guys. I can try and pull middle school me and see what he remembers.
But I remember people were obsessed with this, and there was one that everyone wanted to see made into a movie, and it never was. Instead, we got Aragorn, whatever the hell it's called.
Here's a 2000s fantasy movie that I've seen. City of Ember, 2008.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Why? I hate that movie. I hate it.
I've never even heard of this. Saoirse Ronan's in this?
Yeah.
And Bill Murray.
Toby Jones, Tim Robinson.
Is this? I've never heard of this movie.
It sucks.
It bombed, so I guess not many people have.
I had to watch it for a class because in my 7th grade speech class, we had a film review unit. And that was the one we had to watch as a classic review. It sucked.
Yes, it does.
I hated it.
Buddy,
Why, Justin?
all I'm just saying is I've seen it.
I had that movie erased.
like my Ranger's Apprentice thing. That was fully erased. I never would have ever thought about that ever again.
And yet here we are. It's from the guy who directed Monster House.
That's not bad. That animated movie wasn't too bad.
And the new Poltergeist.
Forgot they made a remake. Ugh. I have seen Monster House though, long ago.
I mean, looking back, Stardust is honestly the best of all these movies we talked about. If you do the ranks for all these, it's
far and away the best.
The only one that maybe is up there with it is Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would say this is better. I mean, they're both good, but I would say this is better.
Yeah, this one's at least better paced.
Oh, the pacing's great. The comedy's great. Maybe the marketing could have been better, especially because this poster seems to really be using the star power of De Niro and Pfeiffer.
And for some reason,
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais.
It's in 2 scenes.
And just plays Ricky Gervais. He just shows up and does Ricky Gervais bits.
And
that's very
talks
funny,
like a monkey.
So yeah, I guess final thoughts on Stardust. And we've kind of talked about our thoughts, but let's wrap it up. Alex, I think it's safe to say that you might like it the most of all of us.
As the new official stan of this movie, yeah. I mean, it's just such a blast. Like, it in every way, it keeps you engaged with great characters, good themes, good, like we said, you don't get to use swashbuckling very much, but that's a quality term that I'm going to use here. It's the swashbuckling adventure. It's just a blast. I would highly recommend it. It's just a very lovable, fun, energetic movie.
It does a lot of things that Matthew Vaughn does well. I mean, when you think of comedy, you think of comedy movies and those directors, but it's like Matthew Vaughn and Nolan, they have subtle humor in there that just works on all different kind of levels. I think really makes this movie a lot of fun and worth a watch for anyone.
I probably like it the least of all of us, but not to say I don't like it. But I give it 3.5 out of 5. But I had a really good time. I think it could have been faster, maybe a little bit more balanced at times. But it's a really fun movie. Great acting, great visuals. I've heard to mention this. The soundtrack could be obnoxious at times. Holy crap! Every time a back character does anything bad, that evil music is like blaring.
Yeah, that's just this style of movie. I just kind of expected that. Yeah, I guess
it could be a bit much, but I do commend them for properly adapting Neil Gaiman. If you like this, I'd recommend Good Omens on Amazon Prime. They're very similar, at least structurally and story-wise. Not necessarily fantasy stuff, but more kind of what they're trying to do with character interactions and stuff. But yeah, great movie. I recommend it, especially if you like fantasy, because I think all people have been looking for a good fantasy movie.
Well, and like what we just did, we ran through a bunch of bad fantasy movies.
All released around the same time as this one.
And this one's like the one you never hear about.
No, you'll see it, and you'll see a couple people, like Alex, you sent to me a Reddit link of someone that was like...
Literally, as of today, the recording today, it's like the top post or one of the top couple posts on our movies. So
because there are people, it's one of those movies that people like you say, like, hey, do you remember Stardust? People go, oh my god, yes, that's really good. And I'm sure if Matthew Vaughn continues to ascend up the ranks of directors, I think you'll see this movie kind of rediscovered.
Yeah, especially because people start looking more into his movies, because that's literally how I found it.
Like, I can't wait for Shout Factory to get on this and do Shout Select for it. I'm sure that'll happen eventually. But yeah, I'd say great movie. But we're out of time. Thank you so much for listening, Justin. Thank you for the pick. Great job. But yeah, leave us some comments on if you're watching this on YouTube. We'd love to hear what you think. If you're one of the other 50 people who've seen Stardust, please let us know what you think. If you are a Bo Burnham fan, no need to let me know. I have a terrible opinion. I'm well aware of that. But if you want to remind me, go ahead. Otherwise, don't forget to follow us, like us, subscribe to us. Do whatever you want to do if you like our content. We'd love the support. We're hoping to do some goals for supporters and subscribers here at some point of movies to review and talk about if we get a certain number of subscribers. We don't have anything set yet, but we'll let you know when we get to it. But thanks so much for listening. For Alex Overall, just night. So this is David Yanich. Thanks for listening to another episode of Idiot Plot, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.